Welcome to the Creators Journal podcast, where we discuss creativity and mindsets that lead to fulfilling and productive lives. This podcast features many meaningful discussions with others about creative lessons, how they apply to life, how they apply to business, and they all revolve around the underlying excitement and joy that we as creatives feel when we apply creativity to the world around us in our own unique way. I think that feeling is incredible. We share creative lessons in business, athletics, mindfulness, journaling, meditation, whatever the domain, to help us grow not just as designers and creatives, but as people. So get out your mental journal, fire up your internal creative software. Thank you for tuning in, and please enjoy the show. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Creative Journal podcast. I'm so excited to be recording today. I know I say that every single episode, but I feel like it's been a while since I've sat down and, talked mouth to mic like this. Jeez, excuse me. But today I'm super excited, doubly so, because I'm starting a new series within the show. So these are going to be called Creative Briefs, and aside from being a totally badass and original name that I came up with, it's going to be a short series of 5 to 10 episodes, and we'll sprinkle these in throughout the solo ones to kind of break the pace a little bit. Because the solo long episodes I found are quite hard to record. Talking into your microphone, as easy as that may seem, for 45 to an hour, it can get long, but it is draining, and it's a good mental challenge though. So I would recommend anyone to try and do that, like the Q&A or any of the past episodes. Oh, by the way, the Q&A, great responses from those. The feedback has been awesome on those, and I am always super nervous to put out solo episodes because talking into a mic and stuff like that isn't always, my strong suit, and I do get a little bit of imposter syndrome, trying to give advice and stuff. But the solo episodes do perform really well, and that means a lot to me. You guys' feedback always means a ton. And by the way, if you guys are enjoying the show, please leave a 5-star rating or share on Apple or Spotify. That means the world to me, and we're going to keep trying to provide value with every single episode, getting on new and exciting guests. The next 2 weeks, we have 2 female absolute killers coming on the show in the creative industry, one local, one overseas. I won't reveal their names yet, just to tease you guys. But so these are going to be called Creative Briefs. Some are going to be practical, tactical. Some are going to be very on the more philosophical end. But our first creative brief topic is consumption versus creation in your business. So in the age of social media, I know a lot of us spend so much more time consuming versus creating. And I think if you have a business, if you're prioritizing building your own thing, you're already probably leaning more on the spectrum of being a creator. So that's a good thing. But I know, looking transparently at myself when I'm starting my business, so much of my time was spent, taking the inputs of others and feeling like I needed more and more advice, more teaching, more courses, more time under tension, from a gym standpoint. But you feel like you need more and more and more before you can actually press ship and try your own thing. And part of me making this episode today is to take internal stock and see those things in myself, but to also be that voice for you guys to say, okay, what are these things that I'm spending way too much time on consuming and not so much time on creating? Because to be honest with you guys, consuming is very comfortable. It's our natural state. Watching YouTube videos, reading books, taking courses, doing all these things are great and they have value, but that is very much the 0 to 1. And the 2 to 10 is you getting off your ass and doing it, which I know is nothing new to you guys, but hearing that voice and hearing that person say that has been huge for me. I talked to last week, got to interview one of my role model and friends, and now friend, Dennis Field. He's the founder of Creative Sandwich and Green Line Creative here in Columbus, Ohio, which is a web design and graphic design agency. And like, this guy blew my mind. Like, I had already read his book, watched some videos, followed him on LinkedIn, again, doing all these consume things. And he said, Andy, I wouldn't recommend any more of 5 to 10% of your time being spent in consumption. The rest, he recommended 50 to 60% networking, 25 to 35% building your own thing, and then the other 5% trying new things. So that was really interesting to me because I know I've heard a lot of role models in the past, and you know, I spend so much time doing courses and reading books and so forth that it's almost easy to validate your time as being productive when you're watching YouTube videos or you're taking courses, but the real movers are when you take a step back, you put your fingers to the keyboard, or you put the mouse um on the pad. I guess I don't know what the analogy for that would be, but you go and you make your own thing, and you put that post out there. You launch that website. You do that thing. So no matter your belief systems are, your thoughts and your words, they have value. And the more time you spend in the shell of consuming versus creation, um, then it just becomes harder and harder to get out of. So I'd encourage you to look internally a little bit today, see these in yourselves. The business you're running, the side hustle you're pursuing, these things that you do on the weekend, whether it's just a workout you did, something you're proud of, you want to share, people live vicariously through these things. And having your own voice is so, so important. None of us would be where we are if we didn't have the creations of other people. And, we all deal with imposter syndrome, all of these things that feel like we have to have some sort of validation in order just to have our own voice. And that's just not true. So, just, I mean, think about it. Think about like the people that create these courses that, your favorite influencers that you follow, they all started in the same place as you guys. They all started in the same place as me. I I go to the internal war every day of saying, okay, um, what is the unique voice I want to have, and what are my first steps in putting that out there? And the first step is always just getting started and taking these information that you have downloaded, everything you have done, and putting your unique spin on it and attaching that to your business or your content in your own way, and then pressing ship, which is the most important part. A good ballpark ratio, kind of like Dennis mentioned, between consumption versus creation is about 25 to 75. 25% consumption, 75% creation. So I think that would be a good metric to kind of base it off of. Um, and if you're a business owner, this is what I would do, and this is what I am currently doing as well. I would start with what other business owners, people in your industry, people that you look up to, try and get as specific as you can about people that are doing very similar things to you. Just ask them what they're doing. This is the consumption piece. Go to the business owners, the leaders, ask them what are ask them any questions that you have, What are things that are exciting them? What do they feel like what do they spend their weekends doing? Their time when the spotlight is not on them. That's what you want to do is get inside their heads. What isn't working for them, their favorite mistakes, things they've learned from. And you're going to find that these people are more than likely so open to sharing because it's very flattering to have people ask you these things. And obviously, I just turned 23. I'm just getting started as well. But I mean, even having junior designers and creatives as I look to sort of look into hiring one day or, subcontracting out some work or getting a VA, things like this nature, it's very, very flattering to hear people say that, you've done great work. So, yeah, start there. That can be your consumption piece. Also, read books, watch YouTube videos, take courses. I believe courses, and I will always believe that courses and YouTube videos and books are always great investments of time and money. Obviously, YouTube videos are free, but books and courses, I don't believe in, capping those things. Course community as well. These are all things that you can share. These are investments. And as much as I'm harping on, the need to create new things, it's also very important to also invest in these things, but you have to make sure that it's not all that you're doing. It's kind of the premise of this episode. But then just make sure you have a very deliberate and conscious process of, conversion. It doesn't have to be super detailed, but you should be able to zoom out and say like, okay, this piece of content I'm creating, this pricing strategy, this thing I'm trying in my business is the result of this other thing that I saw, but I'm going to tweak it a little bit. I'm going to put my own spin on it. Um, these things, there should be a correlation there. Nothing in creativity, nothing in design, nothing in business is totally unique. I mean, you have everything is an iteration upon what other people have already done because we've been doing this for so long, and that's freeing. But I mean, that can sound pessimistic, but it's also very freeing because you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to come up with a totally unique and just groundbreaking strategy for your business. It's about doing the consistent things over and over and making sure you're setting up the ladder on the right wall, so to speak, and that you're taking in these right inputs, and then that these, greater percentage of outputs that you're generating are more targeted, they're more effective, and they're more deliberate because there's more thought behind them because you're doing a more careful job of making sure that the things that you're taking in, the information, the books, the YouTube videos are aligned towards creating these results that you actually want to see. So, when you get specific in a business, this might look like these new creative outputs. These might look like trying new pricing strategies or payment fulfillment options, maybe different methods of advertising or getting on social media, putting a creative spin on your branding, trying something new there. Could look like testing new markets to see how you might work with a new customer base. And all these things are ways to create. They're ways to try new things, they're ways to put a unique spin on existing things, and transferring the knowledge you learned from your 25% of consumption time into these 75% of the results that will get you far more than spending more time in consumption mode. For me and my business right now, it actually looks pretty similar. I'm trying a lot of new internal processes that can wean me out, whether it be expenses or hassles or just doing things that I don't want to do. Trying some new softwares, which is always comes with a great friction point. Like I'm sure you guys know, any process of onboarding a new software that's outside the norm, whether it's a CRM or project management or just anything, there's a great headache there, but you have to overcome it and just validate it as being a worthwhile investment because it sucks in the first few days when you're trying to learn something new, but you have to trust the long tail, compounding benefits that'll happen once you become comfortable and familiar. So, um, also trying out some new branding options via website and social media. So, getting the podcast out there, making the podcast be sponsored by MMG, by the business, trying to tie the two better a little bit. I think I have great branding, to be honest with you. It's just kind of the connection between all the content I'm creating and how it's leading back to the main thing, which the main thing right now is the business. So, um, trying to connect the dots there on the whole marketing side of things, and also trying new marketing tactics as well. So, not overwhelming myself with trying to reinvent the wheel, but slowly getting into building an email list. In-person networking events have been the biggest mover in my business because they create referrals. So, um, relying on what has worked, but also dabbling, dipping a toe in the water of some of these new and exciting ones as well. So a lot of what this has helped me to do is just take an objective look at how much time I'm spending in consumption mode. This is going to be the big takeaway is objectively identifying how much time you're spending in consumption mode. And I would class consumption mode as taking courses, watching videos, reading, listening to podcasts, um, like this one, as we kind of already touched on, versus doing, the dirty work, putting the words to the paper, getting out there in the uncomfortable, creative, social realm of putting your own spin on things and just getting the feedback from that. I know it's hard. I know it's not easy. Something I have to push myself to do every single day. I face that friction a lot. But I hope this episode, first very one of the creative briefs, has helped you guys, and I have been that voice for you today. Just take the first step and spend more conscious time creating rather than consuming. And to also, this should be a caveat, but to also curate your consumption time as well. So 25% 25% consumption and 75% creation. And I hope this episode has helped you firm up those boundaries and get you excited about putting more and higher quality stuff out there. This has been entry number 36 of the Creative Journal podcast, the very first Creative Briefs episode, consumption versus creative in your business. I really like this format. I'm super stoked. I know I ended up going a little bit longer than I said I would. It's about 15, 20 minutes here. But, I hope you guys like this format. And also feel free to comment, reach out to me on Instagram or LinkedIn, which I am most active, or just send me an email, andy@mmgdesign.net. And I'd love to hear your feedback. If you do leave a review on the show, I will read you out in the next episode. I love doing that. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. Stay creative, stay confident, keep a clear mind, and go out and do your best work. Peace out and see you next week.